Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I am so happy that we are separating some time and talking about Paul and his work and his new drop. For those that are just stopping in, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you all. You're all friends. So I'm very grateful. I would love it if we can all take it light as a little moment and share the space so we can get more ears on this project called Deco by Paul. So exciting. And with me here, I have Michael and our founder, me llamo Matt. And so, hello, friends.
Annie, how's it going?
Hey,
Hey, Paul.
hey, Matt. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm not used to being on a space in the afternoon. It's a different feel. I like it.
We're interrupting nap time.
You know what? Yes, I just ran and grabbed a coffee because it's getting to be about that time of the day for me. Sorry.
I know it. I know it. I'm an early bird myself, so this I have to pace myself. I'm supposed to be going to a baseball game tonight too. So,
Nice.
yeah, this has been a exciting day, and yeah, thanks for being a part of it. Thank you for being the collector of the edition that has been sold. So it means a lot. I really do appreciate that.
Oh,
It's so
my
awesome.
pleasure. It works amazing, and I really, really wanted #1, like I told you. So I'm the collector in me kicked in, got a little competitive.
Nice. Oh, it looks like
Yeah.
I got another one gone. So there's two have been sold in that short
Two
period
have
of
been
time.
sold.
Yeah. Nice.
Jeez.
What a
Yeah.
day.
What a day.
Who was that?
So yeah, I'm really looking forward to hearing your story of the work and the contract, and I'm sure Annie has a whole list of topics to talk about. She always does.
He's got the questions. Inquiring minds.
Questions. I share questions with Mike, and I'm hoping he just jumps in right in. I'm going to share some questions with Matt.
Nice. Hi, Mike.
Hey,
Yay! There's the voice.
sorry, I was like jumping around on my phone between questions and retweeting.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome. Thanks for being here.
yeah, man, of course, anytime. Um, yeah, I don't know. I was waiting for Annie to ask you something, but
I am hard at multitasking because we just came up with these questions. And so I just put it on our.
okay. Well, how about let's just start here. Like, why don't you just tell us about the project?
Yeah. This is great. This is exactly how I thought this was going to go.
We're good.
Wait, was
We're
that a
good at
diss?
this.
No.
I
This
feel like that was
is
a criticism.
no.
Mike,
It feels,
Annie?
like when you go home and your mom makes your favorite dinner. This is what it feels like.
All right,
All your
love
friends
it.
are around, and yeah. So okay, so this is Deco. Deco is a limited edition series. It's my first time working with the fine folks at Transient Labs in any sort of creative official capacity. Um, uh, I had this idea because the landscape of where we are now as artists is pretty difficult. I think we can all admit that. It's so brainstorming is part of what we do. Problem solving. How can I entice a little bit of activity to see if we can't kickstart something here? So I started a couple months ago doing some polls on my feed, little market research, if you will, to see which images got the strongest reaction from people. And from that, I decided that I wanted to do a multiple image edition. And then who better to talk to about that than our resident friend who's a genius is Ben Strauss. And um, I would sort of, so Ben and I live quite close to one another, as so does Bryn, who's down there. Hi, Bryn. Um, um, so Ben and I will play golf, and I would kind of give out little tidbits of my idea to him, um, of this is what I want to try and do. And at one point, Ben and Bryn and Bat Soup, Yum, and Marco from Transient, Ben's partner, we all had dinner, and they showed us this new function that I am going to absolutely murder what this is, but basically, um, we called it that night. We called it something like digital Legos for code in order to make a piece dynamic. And that was how it was explained to me. And then I went on to say that I need I need digital Duplo blocks for something because Legos were far too complicated. Um, but basically, what it was is that you can pull um, code that has already been separated and identified as a function, and then you can create dynamic actions by the code that Transient sets up for you already. It's already pre-made, so it's literally like you're making building blocks, and which allowed me to stack my images. You know, this is my image number one, and image two, three, four, and then it was like when you click one, then it goes to image two. When you click twice, it goes to image three, and so on and so on. And then we also added a randomizer so that it wasn't just always that when you went to go look at the image, or if you have it on a display or something like that, if you clicked on the piece, out of the four images that are there, a random one would appear, and then you can click through in the original order that it is. So yeah, so that is the long short version of how we got here. And it's also put on a 7160 contract. So although it's limited edition, they are sort of also one of ones, and they're also expandable. So um, there's a possibility, you know, say somebody buys more than one, then maybe I decide to throw in an extra piece and add it on to that contract. Or if I just wanted to say thank you to everybody, I can do that for everyone's involved. So there's an option to expand it. There's, you know, um, so yeah, I think that I've machine gunned all the information out that I understand of the technical side of it, because I basically was like, this is what I want to do. And I'm like, can we do that? And um, yeah, Ben was like, yes, absolutely. So thankful to Ben. He's not here or able to make it today, I don't think, because I think he's out conquering the world somewhere. So yeah, so that was it. That's Deco.
Hey, Paul, I'm gonna go off script already.
Yeah.
What's gonna happen? Annie's gonna mute me or something? I don't know. So I'm just curious with the contract.
Yeah.
If somebody displays this, whether through the White Walls app or they, have a Black Dove or some type of app, when they display this piece, is it dynamic? Will it change, or do they choose one, or how does it work?
So
Any idea?
to my understanding, because this was the point of conversation that Ben and I had, was that because it's loaded through with like HTML, it it yes, it will be dynamic. That was what I was told. Like when you go loading, however you load it into your White Walls app, or whatever display that's there, it should remain dynamic. And if it's not, please let me know and I'll have that altered.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah, that was part of my concern was like, it's great that it's dynamic on your phone, but like I still want that to be dynamic on the screen. You would have to go in obviously and select it for the one that you want through whatever app that you have that's going to be used to display. But yes, it is dynamic.
That's great because all four pieces are worthy of being displayed on for sure of being displayed on a display. They're all amazing. I'm sure everybody has their own favorite, but I would love to have all four displayed. So that's why I was curious. I think the work is fantastic.
Thank you.
I don't know, Andy. When can we get off the technical stuff and really talk about the artistic stuff? Like I want to hear about the shots and
That's
what
it.
they
That's
mean to.
it. Roll it.
Is it time? Let's talk art. Let's go. Let's talk art.
Nice.
Paul, tell us about the shots. Were they on multiple flights? One flight? Well, no, they were obviously on multiple because some are in the day and some are at night.
Right.
Just tell us about it. Tell us if you have a favorite or if there's favorite parts. There's probably favorite characteristics of each piece. It's probably like 4 kids, right?
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah. I
Go
mean,
ahead.
so in the actual metadata, there's an explanation of each image that I typed up so that you can look into it. But yeah, I'd love to go through. So the first image in the sequence is entitled Taxi, and for you know very obvious reasons. I try not to overcomplicate my captions or my titles for things because sometimes they get a little too tongue in cheek and people don't get it. Um, but yeah, this shot's a couple years old, and it is part of a larger frame. And I think I took it probably 2020 or something like that. And then in 2021, while we were all quarantined, um, we were all in Clubhouse together. I mean, like, I feel like every time we're on a Miyamo art space, we talk about Clubhouse and how we're all together. But those first couple months of 2021, we were just all talking together. And sometimes we'd just be editing and there wouldn't be any sound. We would all just be working and then we'd be like, oh, and I definitely, during one of those sessions, I was like, I remember finding this composition within a piece, right, and being like, "Oh my gosh, I think I have the coolest shot I've ever taken." Um, and it's like one of those things where we couldn't shoot, so we were all just going through archives. And so this one was super special to me because it was there all along, and I just didn't know how to interpret the image when I first shot it. And when given the time and the space to explore, I found this composition. And yeah, it's still one of my probably all-time favorite images. I wanted it to be the cover of the book that I released in 2022, but I got overruled by the publisher. So it definitely holds a special place in my heart, as it was just like the most perfect moment. And I haven't captured anything like it since. There are other things that I can do with alignments of buildings and time of day and like refine other shots. Like this shot was like perfect out of the gate for me. And yeah, I continuously look for similar times and conditions, but it hasn't presented itself. So um, that's the first one. The second one is called Lurking, which is the one that is, you see the building is kind of lit up, almost like rim lighting, and it's surrounded by shadow. This was taken, this might be older than Taxi. This was 2019. And the reason why this one was special is because in 2019 in New York City, there was still a flight restriction over Midtown because Trump was living in his residences in Midtown Manhattan. So for many years, we couldn't fly over the Chrysler Building. It was off limits, and you had to get special clearance from the Secret Service to go through. And when I signed my book deal, I knew that I had to have a flight um, with some updated images of Midtown, as Midtown had grown exponentially since I started. And the Chrysler Building is obviously one of my favorite subjects. So I was like, we're spending a lot of time around the Chrysler Building because I hadn't been able to fly over the Chrysler Building like this angle for more than, I don't know, it was like 3 years. Um, so this is in the fall. This is in November, and that time of year, I think we all know. Like, I don't know. I don't know if we all know, but the shadows. The light is really shallow, and the shadows are just really overemphasized, or they're present in a way that makes fall light unique. And so, yeah, this was towards the tail end of a golden hour flight, and the last bit of light was just touching the crown and some of the facade, and then like hitting some of the steel, stainless steel outside. And I love how it kind of like you can see into the shadows, but your eye is drawn just to the shape and the details of the Chrysler Building. Um, so that one I knew had to be a part of it, just because it's just a little moody. And I guess that's like me too. I can be a little moody sometimes. So um, the third one is called Cornered, and actually um, these last two images were taken on flights where I was with my partner in crime, Killian Moore. This particular shot was taken 2023, the week, like shortly after NFT NYC. We went on a flight together. Um, so this was from a sunset into blue hour flight, and we spent a lot of time around the Chrysler. And I tried to find new ways to shoot. Um, I try to find new focal lengths to shoot, because there's only so many ways you can rotate around a building and get a unique vantage point. So this one was taken on a 70 to 200, and I was zoomed in at like if I wasn't at 200, I was very close to 200 millimeters. And that's just a difficult shot in and of itself, because the helicopter is moving, it's spinning. We're doing what's called a look down. So your body is already out of position. The helicopter's kind of tipped so that if someone's shooting wider, the skids of the helicopter are out of the way. And so you're little off center with the light. We're losing the light, so you're shooting in less than um, great shooting conditions. And then as a photographer, and you're shooting from a moving object, trying to balance the technical side of things, where it's, do I need to keep the ISO down so that it doesn't get noisy, and then I have to shoot a little bit slower, but I'm also shooting at a longer focal length. I mean, honestly, I may have gotten like 3 or 4 shots that were this clean, and then the rest of them they're kind of a hot mess, just because you're getting jumbled around in a helicopter. And so I was happy that I got this, and I felt that like the black and white. I don't know. I obviously, last year I went through a big period where all I was doing was black and white, because I just felt like I was losing a little bit of what I wanted to do and what I wanted to show, and I wanted to go back to basics and really work on shaping the light in my images. And this was one of the products of that exploration, like that lasted probably, I don't know. I'm still doing black and white, but it was more like a 6 month type of situation where all I was doing, I wasn't even looking at color. It was just all light. And then the last one is Aligned. And this one was taken on a flight where it was actually a flight for, on 9/11. It was 2020. 2020? Yeah, it was 2020. So it was like a weird year already. And then, you know, 9/11 was always one of those things where um, a lot of people are out taking pictures, and we knew that we were only going to have limited time downtown, so we wanted to spend some time in Midtown. And yeah, nighttime shooting the Chrysler, it's so bright that it's hard to get a balanced image. So that in and of itself was a little victory for me. And then the alignment, where the backdrop of it is like, here's the Chrysler, which is like this classic New York Art Deco, like crowning jewel of the skyline, and it's backed up against this new building called One Vanderbilt, which is all glass and steel. Um, and I loved that, and then just I that's the type of flight where like I was locked in on that flight in that like I felt like every shot I took it had to be right, just because of the date of it, what it meant to us to be flying and to be given the opportunity. So so yeah, those are the four pieces, and I don't think I left any room for questions or discussions. So thanks for coming to this space. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, yeah, um, yeah. That's it. That's all I have to say about that.
Thanks, Paul. That's great information. Lots of info to digest. All four are amazing. I have two favorites. Monochrome, let me just stop and say monochrome. Some of my favorite work of you. And I have a huge piece of a monochrome piece on my wall that I've been wanting to replace with one of yours. And I'm fascinated with your work, but the timeless look of New York, me born and raised in New York, girl living elsewhere, it's such a great reminder of the city where I'm from. And so it means so much what you do and how you do it means so much to someone like me that appreciates the work, but loves the work and always tries to share where I came from and where I've been through my image in my house. You walk through my house, it's like an art gallery because I have so much art on my walls. But um, so thank you for sharing. And for those that don't know where to collect, if you click on the link that's on top, right, the second post from his deco post, you'll see the link to go and collect. The piece is point 0.1 ETH, and it's an addition, but you don't get one piece, you get all four pieces that you can toggle through and choose which one to display, which I think it's fascinating how you're using the dynamic of the latest and greatest dynamics out there available for artists to use through Transient Lab. A big shout out to Ben for helping you with that. Um, Tell me, what are you expecting maybe from this project and how it would, I guess, evolve in your process of creating?
Oh wow, that's an amazing question. I don't. Okay, so I have a rule that I don't have expectations for something like as far as performance goes. As far as sales go, my expectations coming to it is that I've prepared these images to the best of my ability, and I've offered something that I think is unique, but is also and new, but is also true to who I am as a photographer. Those are really the only expectations that I'm bringing to the table, because otherwise unmet expectations as far as anything else goes kind of, I always say, I think it's not just me, I'm not the only person that says this, but unmet expectations are a killer, and in this space, I think to I'd rather be pleasantly surprised than crestfallen and disappointed by a lack of something. Given that I know well and good that I'm releasing something when art isn't necessarily moving with as much frequency or as much volume as it has in the past. I'm doing it because I miss releasing something. I wanted to do something. I was excited about it, um, and I felt like it wasn't just I wasn't just adding pieces to be like, well, it's that time of year again, and I have to add more, work to my portfolio. This was like This was thoughtful, and it's taken me a while to move this along. And I will say that there's another project that isn't necessarily we haven't take how do I say this? This brainstorming and this idea of multiple images is going to be flushed out a little bit more this year with some collaborations. Um, so it's not going to be the same thing, but there will be more of a collaborative effort to put out more art. And yeah, I think I think that's all I can say right now, without being sued by lawyers. No, I'm just kidding. There's no lawyers involved. Um, but yeah, that's we're moving towards doing more together. I am with other artists, and using some of the tools that Transient has created to make it interesting for us and done well. I think that's the most important thing is that it's done well, and it's easy to move through. So yeah.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it. Um, if those that are in the audience want to ask a question or want to highlight something or want to comment on his project, please come up while I hand the mic over to Mike.
Sure. Yeah, I have a question. I mean, we've known each other for years, and we actually got closer because of helicopter flights, right? Like when I would visit, and you were working with uh, Nyan at the time, and so you have like a long history of aerial photography. Maybe you could talk about how you got into it and where you plan on taking it moving forward.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great question. Yeah. I have okay, so in the early days of Instagram, and that being like 2013, 2014, 2012, um, some of the people that got in early, um, like Dave Krugman, like um, Natalie M. Rossi, Miss Hatton, and Jayan Silva got connected with this company that Mike just mentioned called Nyan. They were called New York on Air, and now they're called Fly Nyan. Uh, and they were doing these flights over New York City, and it like the images just blew my mind. I had no idea, and I thought to myself, if I ever get an opportunity, I'm definitely going to take a helicopter flight. But the cost was prohibitive. At the time, so I didn't really know when that was going to happen. How I got my opportunity was through community. One of my friends was already into aviation photography, and he was doing an article in an aviation magazine. Truth be told, I don't even know what magazine it was. He just asked me. He said we're going to do something called an air-to-air flight, which were two helicopters flying next to each other, and um, we were going to be the subject helicopter, and I was going to be taking pictures of him in the helicopter from the other helicopter. So two helicopters moving um, at the same time around the city. So that was my first taste, and I was like, and so we got the shoot done, and then we had some flight time left. So then we zipped around the city um, with an incredible pilot who now has his own aerial like shot over cinema production company in New York called Gotham Films. And so this guy like understood photography and understood how to fly an aircraft, and that's really a an incredible combination. One I didn't realize until I no longer had him at my disposal. That was unique and a unique and wonderful thing. So from that flight, I just started tagging Nyan like a madman, and I originally went on as a contributing photographer, meaning that when they had an empty seat, they would call from a pool of people and say, "We have an empty seat on this flight. Do you want to come?" And I would say yes, and then I would hand over my assets to them. But I could still post on social media. But it was just a way for me to get my foot in the door. And then 3 years later, I wound up coming on as their in-house photographer, and then eventually went on to run their social media accounts for about 6 months. Um, and then, yeah, so then through that, I made some connections at the Statue of Liberty, which allowed me to be in contact with a publisher and contribute to a book on the Statue of Liberty, which then led to um, my own book. So it's been almost 10 years now since I've been an aerial photographer. And where I'm trying to take it the last couple years, Celeste, I would say probably about 18 months, I've been really focusing on trying to find a way to break into the sports world, where we provide teams or leagues or venues a little bit more of an artistic approach that lies outside the realm of broadcasting. So to be used in marketing, to be used in social campaigns, to help congeal and solidify the storytelling aspect of how they show the culture that these sports or teams or events create when these things happen. So, um, for instance, last year we did a shoot over um, the New York City Marathon, and this was just kind of like a lot of the times. Let me back up. A lot of the times in professional sports or large stadiums, there are flight restrictions around the stadium. So you either have to shoot from way up high unless you're working with the league, or you can't shoot at all. And one of these instances where there wasn't a flight restriction for helicopters was the New York City Marathon. So we decided on our own dime to go and do this. And we have since gained some clients for this year's marathon, and even just signed a contract for Runner's World magazine to have the cover of their magazine for their New York City Marathon 2024 issue. Um, so it's moving slowly. It's always moved slower than I want it to move. It's just because I'm impatient and I want what I want and I want it now. You know what I mean? Um, so, um, so yeah, so uh, that's basically where I've come from and what we're hoping to do. I'm also working on the finishing touches for proposing my next book, which will be a New York City all black and white book with the same publisher. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's what's going on.
So happy to hear it. I do want you to mention where they can find your work, your own work, unrelated to NFT, that you just talked about, the marathon, and you and Alex, or whatever you want to share about your back left media. Since you shared about doing things on your own dime, and that turned into a different project. And so, can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so the company that my partner, who is a cinematographer, his name is Alex Geiger, super talented. He actually, when I was running the social media at Fly Nyan, he was a summer intern, a college kid, and his work ethic and his just how he captures things are amazing. And we stayed in touch over the years. I've used him on numerous projects, and we decided that we'd make a go of this. So Back Left Media is our joint uh, media company. And we have Twitter, we have an Instagram, we have a website. So if you'd like to, check us out. You've seen a lot of the stuff because I'm also sharing, in tandem on my social accounts. But it definitely that's where my attention has been for the last at least 12 months, if not a little bit longer, in developing that. And so, um, yeah, my lack of time spent here has been because my bandwidth has been taken trying to make inroads with clients. So yeah, I think that's I think that's good.
So I pinned it on top for those that don't know. Backleft Media is a separate media that Paul's just sharing about the work that he and his friend Alex are working on. So please give him a follow. Please give Backleft Media some recommendations, some follows, some highlights for those that are wanting aerial photography or I don't know, some A plus images over the city of New York. Go follow these guys and follow them on Instagram, which I'm sure you can find their Insta on their page back left. Again, for those that want to come up and speak, give a comment, ask a question, stay in tune with what Paul is dropping. Please come up. And with that, we have Ashton up in the stage. Thank you so much, Ash, for joining us.
GM, everyone. Yeah, I was in the other space before with Peter and y'all. Kind of under the weather, so I apologize for my voice.
Sounds
Um,
your voice sounds amazing, by the way. Okay, sounds super sultry and wonderful. Like,
damn, Paul
Grandpa.
wants me. Paul wants me to be sick forever. Oh
sing a song
man,
for us. Sing some
He-
Barry White or something.
hell no. um,
Nice.
yeah, I just want to give you your flowers on this drop. Awesome four images. I like the blue one, of course. That's kind of my favorite. But one of my other favorites is the one with the cab. Absolutely love the framing and whatnot on this. I think one of the ones that stand out the most, in my opinion, because people need to like y'all need to understand like getting you're in a helicopter, you're shooting down. The odds of getting like cabs down like that are like that's very slim. Um, it's super hard. I remember when I was in New York, I shot the Radio City Tower and I got the two cabs going through, and it was like do or die, like timing it and everything. If not, I'm probably never gonna get that shot again. And just to get that the cab in the light like that, and just the scale is amazing. Kind of one of the shots that stood out to me the most. I just want to say, like when you saw that, like what was going through your mind, or where you're like, when you saw that, you're like, oh my gosh, like I need to get this. Like, what was going through your mind when you saw that?
To be honest with you, I don't know that I even knew that that was happening when I took the shot. There's a lot going on in the helicopter. Um, this frame, I kind of discovered it like a year or so after I shot it, and when I saw it, I my jaw kind of dropped, and I was like, "Oh, please let everything be in focus." And it was so it was me like shooting through a zone, and I saw like the shaft of light on 42nd Street there, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is super cool." And but um, yeah, I actually it's not 42nd Street, it's 41st Street. But anyway, uh, I remember seeing that shaft of light, but I don't remember seeing the cab. I don't think because like there are times when I'm shooting up there and I'm like, "Oh, did I get this shot?" Like I see something and I get it, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that was cool." But I think that I look for things like that now because I discovered that this was in a shot that I had no idea that was there until I had the time to really like go deep into the archives and look. So yeah, it was a little bit of serendipity and dumb luck, but I was happy that I was shooting correctly, where everything was exposed right and sharp throughout, so that it could be used just for today and for this conversation with you, Ashton.
Yeah, I feel that's what's like crazy about photography or like art as well. Like is the unexpected happens and you like find gems like that. And it's always like so many factors, like you said, like praying that it's in focus and whatnot. Because there are times that the shot that you want the most, it's like it's a little off or it's a little off focus and like that like breaks your heart. And it's just like yeah, it's just crazy that the timing and everything worked out. Cause like being in a heli, like I flew in like an airplane in Toronto, like to get some shots, and that was already like crazy. But I'm assuming like in the I've never been in a helicopter, so I'm assuming the wind and everything is like insane. So you got to be like super steady and whatnot, and have like a super high shutter and all that. So the fact that you kind of froze it there and whatnot, that was pretty dope. But yeah, just like just flying up there alone to get all those images like sharp and whatnot, especially at night, is like pretty cool. Um, and yeah, just like amazing set of images. Um, it's crazy.
Nice. Thanks, buddy. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
For those that want to come up, we have a few minutes, and I want to invite everyone to just join up on the speaker stage as much as possible to ask Paul. Just keep talking to Paul. We just keep talking about this beautiful drop who has 2 minted already. So please go check it out. Very excited about this drop. So many beautiful images. Mike?
Sorry, I just tapped the mute button like 17 times and nothing happened. Um, um, yeah, maybe we could talk more about the aerial work and your development, I guess, as an aerial photographer. So like I've taken like a bunch of flights in New York, and with the exception of maybe one, I couldn't direct the pilot, and it was kind of like a cookie cutter experience, and so it's kind of like it's kind of restricted, right? With like what you could shoot, it's like wherever the pilot decides to go, and you're kind of limited. I guess the only way to what's the word I'm looking for? Like change that, I guess, is with like focal length, um, getting in tight or shooting wide, I guess. Um, but your shots have become like so unique and gone way beyond like the tourist helicopter flight photos, I guess. That I was wondering like how you've been able to work with pilots and to get the shots that you want, and like how you plan them, um, and how you like work together, and like just the whole thought process and process behind that.
Yeah, it is true. Yeah, when you just go and you're just a passenger on a normal flight, yeah, you are basically you're on a cookie cutter type of situation. So first, to answer your question, how do I do that? I have to purchase an entire helicopter's worth of flight time for an hour to go up into and ensure that it's me and whoever else I feel like I either want with me, or it's just Alex and I, and we're on assignment for something. So first things first, there's a lot there's a lot of financial investment into making these images. So yeah, it takes unless you have backing prior to an idea or you're hired by a client, then um, there's a significant out of pocket. So and how I've okay, so that's that. That is what it is. It costs money to do these things, so that's what it is. But how I've learned how to speak to pilots, I've done a lot of flights over New York, and so what you what I've learned, and I was granted the incredible opportunity to learn from failure because I was working as the lead photographer and the head of the social media for a helicopter photo flight company. Um, we would come up with ideas, and we would come up with new ways to shoot or different angles, whether it be added altitude or we would, um, challenge ourselves to fly with one focal length and see what the city looks like that way. Communicating is one of the most important things up there. So a lot of the times when I purchase my flight time, the operations team at whatever company I'm flying with will ask for a flight plan. So I have to plan out what I want to shoot, um, taking into consideration the time of day, where the light will be, what it will look like, um, and then from how far out or how close do I want to be, and then down to the minute, because each minute is incredibly expensive. Um, I have to make sure that I'm using my time to the best of my ability. So I create a flight plan. I talk altitudes. I talk, how many times I want to go around a building. And then, even then, when you're giving all that information and the pilot is briefed prior to it, you still have to communicate and still have to make these adjustments in the air as things are going. So, north, south, east, west helps. I need to drop down another 100 feet, you know, um, or I need to move up 300 feet. I feel like we're at 1,500 feet, and I want to be at 1,200 feet. Like, knowing, I had to learn like the heights of buildings, so I knew like, where's the crown on this building? Okay, this crown on this building is at 1,000 feet, and I want to be 100 feet below it. So I have to say I'd like to be at 900 feet, and then he'll say I don't feel comfortable at 900 feet, and so you have to also defer to safety and what the pilot feels comfortable doing, and then you have the weather and the wind to contend with. That makes flying difficult, and sometimes can make a flight completely unproductive if you have a pilot who does not feel comfortable doing the things that you're asking, and then having wind and weather contribute adversely against you. So it's truly a collaborative effort. The outcomes of my images are really dependent upon how well I can communicate with a pilot who may or may not have any inclinations or understanding of what I'm looking for as far as photographically speaking. So it's complicated. It's a little bit more in depth than, you know, um, just going up and taking shots, and then knowing a city and knowing focal lengths. You start to play around a little bit more. And, like, for instance, the marathon, I'd never shot the marathon before, but I knew that I wanted to go at a longer focal length than I've ever shot in a helicopter before. So I took the 100 to 500 millimeter lens up, which I think, I don't know that I've been in some hairy situations in a helicopter with to to fly in a helicopter and shooting 500 millimeters handheld, than I was for that flight. So yeah, thankfully that worked out. But it there's a lot that goes into creating the images as far as planning goes. But yeah, that's probably the most in depth that I can give you. I hope that answered your question. I know that I tend to ramble, so sorry about that.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. Ashton, I see your hand is up.
Yes. Trying to remember the question. Okay, I think I remember now. So there's four pieces I saw you shoot there, Paul. Um, and I'm assuming, I could be wrong, that they're from different times of when you were flying the heli, or flying in a heli. I was wondering, like, if you could kind of go through like the four images when they were taken, if you can, or whatnot. I think they were, if I'm correct, they were taken in different times, right?
Yeah, yeah, these were over a course of a couple years. A taxi was taken on a late morning flight. Um, Not always the greatest time to fly, but sometimes it gives you a little bit more shine down into the canyons of the streets and avenues, so get a little bit more detail. And yeah, so that was a morning flight. The lurking, the black and white with the deep shadows, that was shot golden hour, towards the end of the day, in the afternoon on a fall, like a November, which is just kind of like the greatest time to fly in New York, just because the air is super clean in November, because nobody's running air conditions, and it's just, yeah, it's usually crystal clear. I'll say usually. Um, the Cornered was a sunset to blue hour flight I did with Killian after NFT NYC 2023. I stayed an extra day or so, and he and I took a flight together. Um, and then obviously the last one aligned was a night flight that the flight was intended for us to. I think that was like sometime around 9 o'clock at night. We were up there to shoot the tribute and lights for 9/11, and we had some extra time, so we uh, before we were allowed to go downtown to shoot the lights around the World Trade Center. So we spent some time there, and this was just one of my favorite shots um, from that flight, just in the alignment of, and it's kind of just like um, combination of old and new is something that I really loved from that picture. Does that answer your question, buddy?
Yeah, that answered it all right. That was a good answer. No, I just like it because it's just like good to know like these shots have been taken during the course of years or whatnot. And it's good to know like it just takes time to get certain angles or certain opportunities and whatnot. Just like to hear that, and yeah, that's dope to hear.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, and with that, we have Blue Alley here on stage, who also has her hand raised, but she came up earlier, and so we're trying to incorporate her into this conversation. Hi, Blue, how are you?
I'm doing good, you guys. Thanks. Calling you from Paris, where night has just fallen. And believe it or not, the city is paralyzed by these Olympic Games. There's no internet, there's no local phone calls. Everything's prioritized for security and media coverage of these games. So your average citizen is pretty much on its own. So I'm so happy to join you. I didn't know if I'd be able to be here, Paul, and you know I'm a huge fan. We're both from Colorado, and I didn't know your other friend was also a Colorado person there that you play golf with. But I absolutely adore your work. And as I've said to you several times, it's that ability you have to get that. It's almost, and forgive me for the word, but it's almost like a caressing light on that building. That building, that corner that you have, just the gentleness of that. And I was so fascinated by how beautiful this metal looked. I'd seen that building growing up because my dad worked out of Manhattan. So, it's familiar to me. But when I saw your takes on it from the air and knowing you were taking that hanging out of the side of a helicopter, and we've talked a couple times before, but you have an ability to catch the light in a way that is just, it's like you're giving yourself to the beauty of the moment. And I know there's a whole lot of stuff going on around you, and yet you're holding that camera and you are there with that light, and you give us that gift. And I so appreciate your art. That building, I went and researched it. I researched that steel. I was like, how does that affect that brushed steel? How is it like that all the time? Who developed it? And I think I put a little tweet out the last time you were in a space about that. But I just really, really appreciate your work, and having spent part of my childhood in NYC, although, as an adult, having lived a lot in Colorado, the beauty that you see from high up in the air, is just a different thing. And when you have clear air, you do see things differently. It puts us in perspective. And although these are man-made buildings, for you to be flying like a bird in the air and to be able to caress that and see that last touch of light on those buildings is such a gift for us. And I just want to thank you for your art, Paul. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. That made my day. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's that is something that I think I definitely spend a lot of time focusing on. And the truth be told, one of my biggest inspirations for learning or at least appreciating how light is treated in images is through my friend Michael Sadowski, who is asking me questions randomly here today. His work has always been an inspiration, and it has allowed me to think differently about how I treat light. And because of his interpretation, it's something I focus on. That light is a moving thing. It's not just what's it's hitting, and there should be movement through the frame, and there should be um, it should be directed so that your eye can follow how where the light was coming from and how it decays and how all the things that happen naturally. If we can capture light in a way that is unique and then shape it in our artistic processing of those images, then we're doing a greater service. And then just given the
Mm.
fact that, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say now I understand something because I am primarily a human figure drawer. I'm a dancer, and my whole art is about movement. So, how
Mm,
light changes across the skin of the human body. We're always in movement, we're breathing, you know? And so there was something that was pulling me to the treatment of light within your work, and now I understand what it is. So thank you to both you and to Michael. And yeah, that's lovely to understand it. Thank you so much.
thank you, thank you. This has just been nice,
I
Annie.
don't know
Thank
if
you.
Mike wanted to respond back to that.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Paul. I wasn't expecting a shout out there. Um, but yeah, yeah, we talked back and forth about this for many years, right?
Yeah.
And I've learned a lot from our conversations just by like explaining like what I'm doing to you, and then I've noticed your work has gotten so much better in that time as well. So, but that's what it's about, right? Like just discovery and sharing with friends, right? So
Yeah, absolutely. That's what this community is about, right? That's the power of it, is that we can do that and we can inspire and learn from each other. So it's definitely yeah, you've been a huge help to me, both in our conversations and just in me just studying your work. I think we all have people that whose work that we study and we appreciate, and for different reasons, and we assimilate that into how we try and capture the things that are our subjects. So yeah, um, and I see a number of faces in here that inspire me on the regular. So thank you all for coming and listening and being a part of my growth.
Hey, Paul, it's Matt.
Hi, Matt.
Um, Hi. I started to jump in. I don't know if somebody else was. I don't think anybody else was in line. Um, I just want to jump in and just say, after spending part of this hour constantly going through these works of art and listening to everybody, you and everybody talk about them. Um, I mean, I loved them last week when you were throwing them on Twitter, and I knew I really wanted to collect the piece, and now I'm multiple times more um, infatuated or in love with these pieces and the light. And I just want to commend you for shooting the same subject 4 different ways and coming
Hmm.
up with like 4 completely different works of art. Like you spend time with each one, and I thought I had a favorite at the start of this call. I had a favorite, and I no longer have a favorite. Like they're all amazing. They all speak to me in a different way, and so I just want to say, um, unbelievable work, really unbelievable work. I know it's just a lot of people just assume like the old cliches. How hard is it to go up in a helicopter and press a button? But oh my God, these 4 pieces taking it to a whole new level. And I just want to compliment you on that. And I'm sure you and I will talk more offline about it, but I just want to compliment you.
Oh, thank you, Matt. That means a lot. I'm glad that I'm thankful for the space to be able to talk about it. I don't often take the spaces to talk about my own work, so it's really great to have a community and family that wants to, you know, um, show up and hear about the things that you do. So no, I do appreciate that. That means a lot. And I like the fact that you had a favorite, and then hearing about each one has we've erased all favorites, and I expect weekly updates. Which one is
There
your
you go.
favorite?
I'll have a different favorite every day.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
that's part of the transient contract. They get into your
Yeah,
brain. They get into your
yeah,
brain, and they make you crave a different one every six
yeah.
hours. You have to see a different.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh, Ben and Marco, those guys are evil. I think. No, they're not.
Geniuses.
They're not.
Oh my gosh. Nice.
But yeah, so amazing, and I'm so glad we could have a space. Like you're always giving and you're spotlighting other artists, but I think it's super great that we were able to have one where, like you said, you were able to talk about your work. It's so important, and I'm glad to be part of it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Amazing. We do have two speakers yet left to speak, and I'll start with Gijam, who we've met in person in NFT NYC, but lives across another part of the world. And so we're so grateful that we're able to have so many great friends here in the space. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, hi Annie, hi everyone, Paul, Matt, Ashton, and Julio, Ali. So good to hear about your work, Paul. Like it's been a while, frankly. Like I think it's the first time I jump in a space and speak for probably a very long time. So, but I couldn't miss the occasion to to come up and thank you first for your art and congratulate you because it's just magnificent what you've done here. Like and like posting dropping like an edition with 4 piece in one. I don't think I ever seen that before, and for that I'm like, wow. I'm like, yeah, it's really impressive, and man, like we told you already, but I want to like emphasize the fact on how much grateful we are of the like amazing gift that you gave us in NYC, Paul, with Julio. Like you take us like on a VIP like style on top of the Empire State Building, and that was like frankly like the most insane experience that I lived like in NYC. Really, like it was so amazing, and for that I would be like eternally grateful. Like it was really really cool to be up there and to like see that building, that magnificent like crystal building, and yeah, I mean like yeah, it's so cool that uh, you're able to like shoot from the sky like over there, like flying helicopters. Like I fly helicopters often myself, like but for different reason, like guiding people on skis, like up in the Icelandic north here. So yeah, I totally understand the challenges that you must face every time you're up there, and that like every second count. And yeah, if you like fucked up the shoot, like it's yeah, can be expensive mistake. So yeah, I take out my hat for you. Like really, like amazing job. Congrats, man. Really happy to be able to see that, and who knows, maybe I think I might want to collect one of these guys because it's really tempting. Hard to not like fall for that. But yeah,
Oh, thank you so much. That's amazing. And yeah, that was such a fun evening that we had. I'm so glad that you, me, and Julia were able to make that happen. And yeah, that was just fun. It's one of those things where, yeah, like I think we were talking about it that night where you were like, we're this high off the ground, like, and standing on something solid, which was crazy. Uh, and it's something that, uh, I take for granted. So it's yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I really do appreciate everything you just said and commented on my work. And yeah, yeah, thank you. And whether or not you do collect one, I do appreciate just the encouragement. It's encouraging to hear. So thank you so much, brother. Appreciate it.
My pleasure, man. Like it's a pleasure as well for me to be able to share like such beautiful work, and for me it's inspiring like to see like all this magnificent like work from everyone that really like push me like to to create more as well myself, even though now it's getting more challenging to get out and create. But yeah, I hope like soon I will be able to build a schedule and go out and create and shoot and like yeah, come up with cool stuff.
Nice, nice. Maybe I'll have to come to Iceland and fly with you.
Yeah, with pleasure. Always welcome here. Always.
Awesome. I'm on my way.
I know someone which is already on his way very soon.
Uh-oh. Oh, thumbs down. Boo.
Boo, party pooper. All right, Mike's
Lovely.
down. Thanks, guys. Love you.
Thank you, brother.
Love to hear how Paul just like, catches a flight, just with friends as IRL events are going on. These are the things to live for. So that happened in Miami as well. Mike and Paul just flew out, and then New York, Julio, Paul, and Guillermo went out. So I love to see that. I think it's part of being in community. You're just like, yeah, I've always wanted to do this. Okay, let's go do this. And so I just think, Paul, you create that experience for so many. One, which we want to do for our own community one day with light art, offer a cool experience. But more to come. Who knows? Maybe in the future. Who knows? Um, next we have Julio, Juicy Julio.
Hello. Oh my God. Sorry, guys. Apologies for the rusty voice. I'm half asleep. I told Paul in the DMs like, oh, I can't make it. I'm so tired, but here we are. Um, surviving at
The best.
10% battery in bed.
Nice. Thank you for
But
coming,
man,
bud.
as like Guillaume said as well, like first of all, hello everybody. I hope everyone's doing well. I could not, let this occasion pass and not come up and just say, Paul, you're awesome. And every time you share your works, it's like, I don't know, I just lose myself, really, seriously, like as cliche as that sounds. And you inspire like, black and white photography. I think I remember that phase where you went through black and white. And that inspired me to really also explore how light works. And that kind of like, inspired me to make or edit one of the Oculus building. I think you've seen that one already, into black and white as well. So like, it got really fun and I loved it. So I mean, yeah, I think everyone here in the room is thankful for you sharing your art. And honestly, this job is also really, I don't know, I just lose myself as well, especially with the first one, the taxi. I think that's my favorite. It's just insane how everything is just perfectly timed, and that's what Ashton said as well. Like, this is just so rare, and the light, and I don't know. My brain is foggy, but I just want to say huge congrats, and you're awesome, and thank you as well for that little tour we did in New York this year. And yeah, I just appreciate you and for all that you've done in the space.
Thanks, bud. Thank you. Thank you so much for yeah, thanks for being a part of it. Thanks for being active and for yeah, being a presence that we can rely on, being a source of joy and yeah, just being the fastest emoji presser this side of the Great Wall of China. So yeah, absolutely insane. But
Oh
thank you,
man.
brother. Yeah,
No,
appreciate
yeah,
you.
congrats. Wishing you all the best. And yeah, sorry for the abruptness. I'm just gonna jump off and go to bed right
You
now.
go to sleep. Go to sleep.
I know I should go to
Mhm.
sleep. Early wake up goal tomorrow, but Paul, really congrats, and I will do my best as well to share your drop again. So well done,
Thanks, buddy.
and congrats as
Thank
well
you.
to Uncle Matt that got number one. I saw that he won the
Yeah.
number one, so love it. And yeah, hope everyone's doing well, and have a great week, guys. Much love.
Much love, JJ, coming to us from that German time frame. See that time.
Much love, JJ. See you soon.
See you soon.
So fun. Paul, we have taken over 10 minutes over your time as we come to a close here. Any last words? For those that don't know where to pick it up, we did share a link here. Get your Deco edition with the link. 3 have been picked up. And so there's only
Whoa.
2 available. For those that don't know where to go, click on that link and stay tuned for more. But any last thoughts?
No, I'm so thankful for everyone that came, that took time to listen, and who, you know, you guys are a constant source of inspiration and encouragement, and yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy with the drop, and I hope that you enjoy it too. Even if you just go to the page and click the button and watch it zip through and have a little fun. Um, yeah, that's it. It's live deco, 4 images, 1 edition, dynamic uh, art piece on Transient Labs. So go take a look. Thanks, guys, and thank you, Mike, Annie, and Matt, for being such incredible hosts today. You're the best.
Thanks, Paul. Have a great day.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you. Matt, any last words?
No, I'm good. My heart is full. It's good. It was really fun. Thanks, you guys.
Congrats on number one of the ones.
Yay.
And Jelly, but I got number 2, so I'm okay. I'm right in line.
There
Oh,
you
you're the
go.
best. Thank you, Annie.
Love your work. I love your work. Now I get to display it digitally from
Nice.
a new space. So that would be great. That'd be great. Mike, any last words?
Um, yeah. Well, thanks for this for the space, and I really love the project, and best of luck selling it out over the next little while. I'm sure it'll all be collected soon, and I have my eye on one as well. So
Nice. Well,
yeah.
thank you. Thanks, guys. All right. Thank you again, guys. And we'll see you Thursday, the same time for Abrahami's space on her new drop that's coming. So reserve it, put it in your calendars. Me, Mike, and Matt will be back at the helm to talk about Abrahami's new works.
Yep, we're gonna run it back. So
All right, I'm out of here before we get crazy. All right, I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you.
Thanks,
okay,
Ma'am.
bye.